But that dreaded F word always pops up: failure. This experience is true enough to make you want to quit and start a new life. It is no different for any entrepreneur or anyone trying to make something special out of their life. Whether it is getting ahead in your career or losing weight or taking items off of your bucket list. Today, I'm going to show you famous failures who became successful people. Before the start of the video, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more content, subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. Number 1. Thomas Edison. Chances are you have heard of Edison, about overcoming failure before. He was a master of trial and error, someone who wasn't afraid to make a lot of mistakes to succeed. When asked about the many thousands of failures he had when trying to create the light bulb, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." But there is even more to it than that. As a child, he was thought to be dumb and told that he would never be a success by many of his teachers because his mind would often wander in class. Number 2. Elvis Presley. You do not need to be an Elvis fan to acknowledge the impact he has had on popular music. They don't dub somebody the king of a form of music without a great amount of success. But for Elvis, success came after failure. Elvis failed his music classes. He was a social misfit as a boy. He was working as a truck driver while trying to get his recording career off the ground. After his first paying gig, his manager told him, "You ain't going nowhere, son. You ought to go back to driving a truck." But Elvis persevered. His first recordings went nowhere. He tried to join a vocal quartet and was told he couldn't sing. But finally, his music caught a groove, and after all that failure, he ended up becoming one of the most popular recording artists in history. Number 3. Michael Jordan. It is hard to imagine it, but Jordan, who is arguably the greatest basketball player ever, was once cut from his high school team. From not being able to stay on his high school team, Jordan kept working at it and kept improving. He made the team at North Carolina and became a star college player. Then he played for the Bulls, creating an armful of titles. Then, in the middle of his career, he took a few years off to try out his dream of becoming a professional baseball player. He ultimately failed in this effort to get to the major leagues, but was able to have some good games in the minor league. But even in basketball, where he is the GOAT, he got his success through hard work after failure. As Jordan puts it. Number 4. Vincent van Gogh. Van Gogh paintings these days sell for incredible amounts of money. 4 of his paintings have sold for more than $100 million. Yet Van Gogh is a cautionary tale. In his life, he was a failure. He slowly began to build a reputation while he was alive, but he also had a ton of critics. He burned and destroyed many of his paintings out of frustration, and was known to only sell one painting. He did not work to overcome his failure and killed himself. Soon after his death, his work began to garner intense critical and financial success. Number 5. Stephen King. It is my opinion that Stephen King is the greatest living writer. He is incredibly prolific, having written over 60 novels, many of which are quite long. He is popular. And at 72, his new releases almost always land at the top of the bestseller lists. But King wasn't born being a writer. He wrote stories as a teenager and college student, collecting a huge backlog of rejected stories he stored in a large crate. King was working as a teacher in rural Maine when he wrote his first novel, Carrie. By this time, King had some small success selling short stories previously, but nothing that anyone could build a career around. King submitted Carrie 30 times. King was rejected 30 times. Before his 31st attempt, he threw the manuscript out. His wife rescued it from the round file and asked him to try one more time. The rest is history. Number 6. Fred Astaire. Many people consider Fred Astaire to be the greatest male dancer of all time. Okay, ladies, I know, Ginger Rogers did everything Fred did, but backward and in heels. Fred didn't start a success, but he did start early. He was 6 years old when he began working in a vaudeville act. By the time he was in his mid-teens, he had some measure of success in vaudeville and began to work in Broadway and musicals. He wasn't an instant success there either, but slowly began to build a reputation and a degree of success. Eventually, in his mid-30s, he tried to get into the burgeoning movie industry. During his first screen test, an RKO executive noted that Astaire can't sing, can't act, balding, can dance a little. Despite this initial rejection, Astaire persevered and ended up becoming one of the top actors, singers, and dancers of his generation. Nearly 50 movies, Emmys, Grammys, an Oscar. By any measure, this balding guy, who couldn't sing, act, and could dance a little, became a huge success in film and dance. Number 7. Abraham Lincoln. If Lincoln had quit when the going got tough, the world might be a very different place. As a young man, Lincoln entered the military service in the Black Hawk War as a captain, yet left as a private. With very little formal education, Lincoln taught himself and became a lawyer and congressman. His real rise to national prominence could also be viewed as a failure. In 1858, Lincoln tried for a seat in the Illinois Senate. This led to a series of hotly contested debates known as the Lincoln-Douglas debates. Lincoln lost the Senate election but impressed a lot of the right people, even with his loss. So he kept at the politics thing. 2 years later, he ran for president and won. Thankfully, he did not let lack of formal education, a spotty career of failures, or initial political failure rattle him. And he went on to become one of our greatest presidents. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications to see more of our future videos. With that said, keep enjoying our videos, and I'll see you in the next video.